We've all probably imagined finding a gold nugget at some point. Who wouldn't want to find a solid chunk of gold? Well, for me and you, maybe it's just a dream. But some people have been incredibly lucky, finding gold nuggets so big that they're set for their whole life. From Australia's giant nugget to Alaska's largest lump of gold, here are the 15 biggest gold nuggets ever found. Number 15. Ironstone's Nugget. Also known as the Ironstone's crown jewel, this remains the largest piece of crystalline gold ever found. Unlike typical nuggets of gold, this one's loaded with jagged crystal structures because of the way it formed underground. It was pulled from the Sonora Mining Corporation's site in Jamestown, California on December 24, 1992. At first glance, people thought it was a broken chunk of machinery. But once they took a closer look, they realized they were staring at solid gold laced with quartz. Weighing in at 22 kilograms, it was appraised at $3.5 million. Unlike most giant nuggets that end up melted for profit, this one survived intact. It's now on display at the Ironstone Vineyards Heritage Museum, and it's a sight to see. A reminder that sometimes gold doesn't show up in perfect little bars. It shows up raw, strange, and spectacular. You don't find many like this, and it's part of what makes California's gold history unforgettable. Number 14. The Precious Nugget. If a gold nugget is big enough, it doesn't need a fancy name to prove it's special. This one was simply called the Precious Nugget. It was dug up in January 1871 at Cotz's Paddock, Berlin, now known as Riola, in Victoria, Australia. A Chinese prospector made the discovery, and the nugget was named after the landowner, Precious C. Williams. It weighed over 1,700 ounces, and at the time, it sold for nearly $7,000, a staggering amount. If you measured its worth today, it would cross the $1 million mark easily. It's one of those historic finds that changed the life of the man who uncovered it, even though history barely remembers his name. Back then, finds like this could completely rewrite someone's future, and this nugget did just that. Not much else is known about what happened after, but the name stuck, and the gold certainly didn't go to waste. Number 13. The Monumental Nugget. Anything over a pound is impressive, but this one shattered all expectations. In 1869, the largest gold nugget ever found in Sierra County, California, was pulled from the Sierra Buttes mine. After a heavy rainstorm, miners stumbled across it sitting right in the trail, washed clean and sticking out of the ground. They didn't need to dig deep or drill for hours. The storm had done the work for them. It weighed 106 pounds and stood nearly 2 feet tall. The men quickly dug it up and secured it before word spread too far. While they didn't get rich by today's standards, that single find would now be worth an estimated $3.5 million. The nugget itself isn't around anymore. It was sold off and melted. But a replica sits in a museum in Kentucky for those who want to see what a real gold monster used to look like. The original question mark, long gone. But the story lives on. Number 12. Mandbar Gold Nugget. In 1887, a gold nugget was found near Mandbar on Maru Creek in Australia, and it's still considered one of the purest gold pieces ever pulled from the ground. Normally, raw gold contains traces of quartz or other minerals that must be burned away. But not this one. This nugget came out of the earth so clean it barely needed refining, which only added to its value. At one point, it was estimated to be worth $3.5 million. But here's the mind-scratcher. Someone packed it in a box and ended up using that box during a game of cricket. The impact from the ball, or possibly from someone stepping on it, caused minor damage, reducing the nugget's overall worth. Even so, the purity and origin of the Mandbar nugget secure its place in gold lore. Australia has long been known for exceptionally high-quality gold, and this was one of its finest examples. Number 11. Normandy nugget. The Normandy nugget ranks as the 26th largest ever found, but because many larger nuggets were later melted, it's one of the biggest still around today. Weighing 819 troy ounces and measuring around 11 by 8 inches. It's not something you miss easily. Found in 1995 in a dry creek bed in Western Australia, the nugget is estimated to be worth over $1 million just for its gold content. But considering its rarity, it's probably worth even more. It was lucky to survive intact. Most giant nuggets from the gold rush era were melted into bars or coins. This one was preserved and is now displayed in the Perth Mint, where people can actually see what millions of years of pressure and patience look like in solid form. It's not just a valuable artifact, it's a gold freak of nature that escaped the furnace and became one of Australia's most photographed museum pieces. Number 10. Mojave nugget. Not all legendary nuggets come from lush rivers or gold-drenched hills. This one came from one of the harshest places on Earth, the Mojave Desert. In 1977, Ty Paulson was sweeping the sand with a metal detector when he hit the jackpot. He unearthed a gold nugget weighing nearly 5 kilograms, the largest ever found in California. At the time, its value was pegged at $200,000, but its historical and geological significance gave it much more weight. The Mojave nugget wasn't just a lucky find. It proved that even in a sun-scorched wasteland, riches still hide just beneath the surface. It eventually landed in the hands of Robert and Margie E. Peterson, who later donated it to the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles County. Today, it's proudly on display, a gleaming reminder that gold doesn't care about climate. If it's there, it's there. And Paulson's find remains one of California's most talked about gold stories. Number 9. Holterman's nugget. The Holterman's nugget is a technical outlier. It wasn't a smooth nugget, but rather a gold specimen attached to quartz, broken straight from a reef. But it holds the record for the largest gold mass ever recovered. Discovered in October 1872 at the Star of Hope mine in Hill End, New South Wales, it weighed in at over 630 pounds and looked more like a wall than a rock. The team blasted through rock with explosives and uncovered it during a midnight shift. Interestingly, Bernhard Holterman, who got all the credit, almost sent the crew digging in the wrong spot. Thankfully, they ignored him and struck gold anyway. The giant piece was eventually melted down, like most legendary finds from that era, and only replicas remain. Holterman posed with it in a famous photograph, but the original specimen is long gone. Still, it's one of the most astonishing gold finds in Australia's entire mining history. Number 8. The Welcome Nugget. Let's be clear. This isn't the same as the more famous Welcome Stranger. This one's older and almost as iconic. Discovered in 1858 by Cornish miners working in Ballarat, Victoria, the Welcome Nugget weighed a staggering 69 kilograms and was more than 99% pure. That level of purity is rare and adds serious prestige to its already impressive size. To celebrate their incredible find, the miners reportedly baptized the nugget in beer, because of course they did. At the time, it sold for just over $10,000, which would equal around $1.7 million today. Sadly, like many legendary nuggets, this one met a common fate. It was sold to a London bank and melted down into sovereign coins. So while the nugget itself no longer exists, its story has survived centuries. It remains the second largest gold nugget ever found in Australia, and a testament to a time when the ground still gave up treasures without warning or apology. Number 7. Blanch Barkley nugget. In 1857, Robert and James teamed up with Charles and Samuel to dig in Riola, and they hit something huge. 13 feet below the ground, they pulled out what was then the world's biggest gold nugget. It weighed 1,743 ounces and was called the Blanch Barkley nugget. When they sold it, the value sat somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000, a fortune in that era. Today, that price would land around $1.7 million. Sadly, the story ends like too many others. They sold the nugget to a bank in England, which promptly melted it down into sovereign coins. A massive, one-of-a-kind find. And just like that, it was gone. Turned into currency, lost to time. It's always the same cycle. History gives us something epic, and we reduce it to metal. But at least the story of Blanch Barkley survived. Even if the gold didn't, the legend still glows just as bright. Number 6. Gold mine in backyard. This one's different. In 2017, Anthony Doolin bought a $350,000 property in Brisbane, Australia, and later found a forgotten gold mine right in the backyard. It wasn't on any official maps, and most locals didn't even know it existed. He nearly fell in when walking near it, then looked down and realized he was standing over an abandoned mine shaft. Doolin said he felt like Indiana Jones, staring at old rail tracks and deep tunnels from another era. The mine dated back to the early 1900s and went about 6 meters underground. Shockingly, Doolin never bothered to dig it up or explore it. Even though he had the money to investigate further, he ended up selling the land. Whether anyone gone back to open that mine since, no one knows. But it's one of those strange stories where treasure might still be sitting under someone's lawn, just waiting, while the person who found it never bothered to check. Number 5. Leg of mutton nugget. In 1852, two cousins from England, John and Daniel Evans, made the long, uncertain journey to Australia in search of gold. They bounced between dig sites, often working just to afford food. Their persistence eventually paid off when they struck gold, literally, and pulled out what became known as the leg of mutton nugget. Named for its uncanny resemblance to a chunk of lamb, the nugget weighed 244 ounces. That haul sold for over $5,000 back then, a serious payout for the time. And today, it would be worth close to $892,000. Their discovery wasn't just about luck. It was survival turned success. After struggling for months and nearly giving up, the cousins walked away with life-changing wealth. Australia, especially during the mid-19th century, was a magnet for dreamers hoping for moments like this. The leg of mutton nugget became a quiet legend, not the biggest, but earned through sheer grit and perseverance. Number 4. Golden Eagle nugget. In 1931, a boy made history. The son of a miner named Jim Larkham, he was exploring near a site in Western Australia called Larkinville, not far from the ghost town of Widjimulta. Rumors were floating about a nearby 6-pound nugget being found, which kept his father's team in the area. It paid off. They found the Golden Eagle nugget, named for its shape, right on the road to the mine. It weighed 1,136 troy ounces, or about 35.3 kilograms, making it one of the largest nuggets ever found in Australia. At the time, it sold for $5,510, a small fortune back then. Unfortunately, like so many other historic pieces, it didn't survive. The nugget was melted down for its raw gold value, which was standard practice then. Well, that teen boy was lucky. Number 3, Great Triangle Nugget. Some nuggets get named for what they look like, and the Great Triangle Nugget earned its title. Found in 1842 in the Mias region of the Ural Mountains in Russia, it's one of the heaviest natural gold nuggets ever pulled from the earth. It was dug out from roughly 3.5 meters underground, proving that sometimes you have to go deep to hit something extraordinary. The nugget weighs in at 36.2 kilograms and is estimated to be worth about $1.5 million today. Unlike many famous nuggets that were melted down, this one was preserved. It's now kept in Moscow's Kremlin, part of the Diamond Fund collection alongside Russia's most important national treasures. It's securely protected and shown only under controlled display. Given current geopolitics, seeing it in person might not be an option, but it still holds a place as one of the largest and most pristine gold nuggets in the world that hasn't been destroyed or altered. Number 2. Beta Hunt Mine Nuggets. Back in 2018, miners at the Beta Hunt mine in Western Australia hit a streak no one expected. Deep underground, about 500 meters down, they uncovered 2 massive gold specimens within a 3-meter wide pocket. One weighed around 95 kilograms, the other 63, together holding more than 9,000 ounces of gold. That's roughly 190 kilograms total. For a mine that had seen better days, it was the kind of find that flipped everything. RNC Minerals, which owned the site, was just as stunned. CEO Mark Selby said it was the most concentrated gold pocket ever pulled from that mine. The strike caught global attention and the gold was auctioned for an undisclosed amount, but definitely in the millions. These weren't smooth nuggets. They were thick, laced with quartz, and packed tight. Finds like this are rare anywhere, but pulling that much from such a small space? That's why this moment remains one of modern gold mining's wildest highlights. Number 1. Centennial Nugget. Alaska might be synonymous with gold fever, but oddly, it only shows up once in this list, and this is that moment. In 1998, just outside the town of Ruby, a man spotted something shimmering while out driving. What he saw turned out to be a 294.1 troy-ounce gold nugget. Not only was it massive, but it also arrived with perfect timing, the 100th anniversary of the Klondike Gold Rush. That's how it earned the name Centennial Nugget. Though Alaska has hosted countless prospectors, not many nuggets of this size have ever come from its soil. When the nugget hit the auction, it drew serious attention and eventually sold for around $750,000. For one man's ordinary day to turn into a once-in-a-century gold strike is the kind of story prospectors live for. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you very soon.